Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 977. Tonight's show is all listener email follow-ups to past shows. We have an AI work question, a VaultMe review, more advanced email DNS, and we got some more. So let's begin with first let's go with the Vault. How about we go do the VaultMe review? So this is from Pat, who I talked about. He needed that. Well, I'll read this email. This is the follow-up. I wanted to send in my report for VaultMe, the program to migrate from one Google account to another, or actually, it will work on multiple platforms. I did not need email, photos, or contacts migrated, but those are options. I wanted to migrate files from my drive from account 1 to account 2. It worked fantastic. Here is the one very slight hiccup. My structure on Google Drive is my files, the default, as the root home, and then biz files as the folder. When I migrated, the structure became my files, biz files, my files, biz files. I may have missed a setting someplace, but all I did was use the move function on account 2 and moved all of the nested my files to the root. And that did the same for the nested biz files. After double checking, I then deleted the nested duplicate folders. I had 40 megs of data, and it took maybe 15 minutes, and the cost was under $30. That is a flat charge. Then a charge for number of files, and a charge for total size. I highly recommend this program, and I will use it again as needed. Pat, thank you for the review. I really appreciate that. So let's go on for, this is from Kenny. And this is a feedback on the scare of AI and your company and what you would do for improving. And I made a lot of comments on what to do to make sure, you can improve your skill set and, take care of the job, so you can, last, hopefully. So Kenny writes, "Hi, Mike. Many thanks for answering my question on your last show." And he sent us a donation. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And during the show, you mentioned not to stay in the server room. And that's right. But every time when I go out with coworkers, not from the IT department, for a lunch later, they ask for an IT favor. How would you react in this situation? I would love to hear your thoughts on this one based on your long IT career. This is a great question. So, because this would happen to me. This would happen to my staff. If someone asks me for an IT favor that's simple, that doesn't break any rules, and I can do it quickly, I'll do it. Just to make friends and keep things, as long as it's legal, as long as I'm not breaking any rules. If it's more complex, and this is how I wrote Kenny back, if it's more complex, where they're asking for something that's bypassing opening a ticket, doing something that's going to break the rules, you just quote the rules and say, boy, I have no control over that. I can't do that. Or you have to go through the right process. So you just diplomatically learn to say no. And that it's hard. It's hard to say no. And it's almost like a separate skill set to learn. But I think that's the right way to approach it. So I'm glad. That was great. Here we go. Let's get some more. I'm paused just for a second here. Here we go. Oh, here. So as we talk about the DNS for email, John Dubinsky wrote back, great show. Thanks for the kind words. So very nice, John. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to listen. Now, this is a great follow-up from Sam. And Mr. Sam is in the chat with us right now. So here we go. Hello, Mike. I have an addition to the email security for specifically Microsoft 365, and it is to enable DNSSEC, DANE, and TLSA, which I have enabled for all clients every time I am setting up email. So this is even more education for all of us. By default, when you set up a domain name with Microsoft 365, you will get an MX record that looks like domain-extension.protection.outlook.com. By enabling this step in PowerShell, you will get a new MX record that you want to replace. Looks scary, but will cause no downtime if you replace it that instant. So make sure you have access to the DNS before you run the 2 PowerShell commands. In the following article, it talks about creating a secondary MX record and deleting the old one. But this only slows the process down, so just replace the current one. The new record will switch you over to a new Exchange Online server with more security features, which I think with this feature, you can only use this server for future tenants since Microsoft now owns it. They own the TLD. The MX record will look like domain extension.random.mx.microsoft. Make sure you have the PowerShell module installed and running first by running install-module Exchange Online Management. Some may need to reopen PowerShell after this. Then import -module Exchange Online Management and then connect the to Exchange Online, and you log in with your global admin. Don't worry, there's going to be a link. The first command gives you the new MX record to copy and enables DNSSEC for your domain's email server. Enable DNSSEC for verified domain - the domain name and your domain.com. The second command enables DANE and TLSA, not required but strongly recommended. Enable SMTP DANE inbound, I think I'm reading it right, - domain name and then your domain. After like 15 minutes, this new MX record will appear in the GUI in the Microsoft Admin Center under domains. Whew. A lot of stuff here. All right. After the records are posted and refreshed by the time to live, you can verify the score of the result on, and this is one of the first links for tonight, and I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute. 100% score, which is higher than Microsoft itself, funny enough. If not, you may need to improve in some fields like enabling DNSSEC for the domain itself, updating the DMARC, and adding IPv6. IPv6 has been enabled on Exchange Online since July 2024, so there is no need to update that. If it's not enabled for your domain, submit a ticket to Microsoft to enable it for you. DNSSEC can be enabled in your registrar's portal or with help from your registrar's support. Here is the link that covers this topic. The text is in English, but there may be some Dutch links in it. And then a link to what is DANE and TLSA. Let's go over this right now, and I will. Hey, Sam, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. So now I'm going to do the display capture here, and I already have these links queued up. So if you take a look, here you can test your email and then test your website. Let's start the test. Let's go Microsoft.com. And let's start the test. And by the way, this is en.internet.nl. Is your internet up to date? And we're doing the test. And reachable via a modern address. Test finished. Results available. Domain name signed. The part email to Microsoft to enable it for you would make me pass all of that. So here's the score, and it's funny that he's right. Microsoft's only 78%. It's not signed by DNS connection not or insufficiently secured, HTTPS. So you get the idea. You can test email, you can test websites, and I like this very, very much. So configure Dane and DNSSEC for Exchange Online. And this is another link. And just take the time. There's a lot of stuff here. If you are doing email with Microsoft and it's the 365 business admin, these are things you want to know. And I'll tell you what, it's good to know. And I've had to do this a couple times where you have to enable the Exchange Online PowerShell, so which is important. So DNS-based authentication. This is Dane, and it's an internet security protocol to allow X.509 digital certificates, commonly used for the transport layer security, to be bound to domain names using domain name system security extensions, which is DNSSEC. You know, if you're listening to this show, you learn something every day. You know how I always talk about the MX records and the records for email, where you got to have the SPF, you got to have DMARC, you got to have DKIM. And then we learned all of the things that John mentioned that I went over last week, and now there's even more that Sam has covered here. And I know John's going to be listening and saying, yeah. I mean, it gets complicated really, really fast, and I really appreciate all of this. Because that's what this is. It's all about education. And then, of course, another link is here's the VaultMe. Hey, check it out. We got a positive review here, and that's what I was looking for. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I will always pass it on for that. So I want to go over just a little more about a virus scan. And what we're going to do is I'm going to read the first email, and then I'm going to read my responses. And this is from John, and he goes, different John. Hello, Mike. I'm pretty sure I am not the only one that gets this message. Virus scan failed on downloads. I am using Windows 10 Pro, which, by the way, John, something I didn't mention in my emails, you really should upgrade to 11 Pro. I searched on your site and did not see anything. Long-time listener. John, I wanted to know, what browser are you using? What antivirus program are you using? And what are you downloading? And he's downloading a bank statement, uses MS Edge, and he has Norton 365. So I said, try another browser, disable the antivirus, and then see what happens. And he did that, and he's tried Chrome and Firefox. I have tried the registry hack of moving the attachment value from 0 to 1 with a restart. I also disabled Norton with no luck. I am able to download bank statement secure connection. I have 2 Windows 10 Pro PCs with the same problem. I am using in control from Gibson Research to prevent Windows 11 from downloading on both machines to ensure my QuickBooks desktop keeps working. When I get on my virtual Linux PC, I can download the statements. I know I am not the only one that has this problem, and I've been using computers for 30 years and can usually solve my problems, but not this time. Then it hit me and I thought, let's ask Mike. Love your show for many years, and I want to thank you for reaching out. And it's amazing that none of that's working, even with Windows 10. And I'm wondering, the bank that you're working with, that you're using, do they see that? Do they sense and know that you're using Windows 10 and just automatically won't download it? That's very possible. So I'm not sure how that presents itself, but you should really consider, no matter what, being online and knowing that you've been working with computers for such a long time, you should absolutely upgrade to Windows 11. Even if you use the hack that we talked about, you should do that. So as a matter of fact, a system that fell off the list from Russ, and I don't know how, and this Saturday I'm going to be remoting in to a CPA that's got a peer server that's Windows 10 and can upgrade. I got to upgrade that to Windows 11. I also got more server maintenance coming up this week, where something I'm doing on and John, let me know if before I continue with all this, let me know if you do resolve it and what the solution is for the downloads. And everybody listening out there, email me, miketechshow@gmail.com, and let me know what other things can John, because I have ran into that, but usually go into another browser. You should what have I done to enable download? Maybe disable the built-in virus scan of, and Windows is going to scream, disable the Windows antivirus scan even after you've disabled Norton 360. So do you have any browser add-ins that need to be disabled, like Browser Guard, now that I'm thinking about this, and for some reason it doesn't trust it? So look for extensions that you may have to temporarily disable in the browser, and then also the default antivirus, but really consider upgrading to Windows 11 and then trying it again. And Sam in the chat, your browser can absolutely send your OS version to the web server. So, which is what I was thinking here. Now, getting back to server work, one of the things, because this week was Patch Tuesday, so one of the things I put in my calendar, peer servers that will automatically respond to Patch Tuesday unless you pause the uploads. So we have multiple systems, and we have a department, an engineering department with one of our biggest clients, and we pause it for 30 days. Once we do the updates, and then we schedule going in, unpausing it after hours or on a weekend. And so this Saturday, I now have multiple systems, and most of them are peer servers because we don't want them rebooting during the day or in the evening, or that. We want to control the reboot. And right now, the best way that we're doing it manually, and I can do a few at the same time. And so basically that's my Saturday afternoon this week. And my son, I think it's going to be tonight. He's remoting into the engineering department because everything's paused. We do the updates and then we pause it again and then schedule it for the following month. So yes, manual process, ugly, but it works. Clients are happy, and we keep the updates under control. Now, just literally half hour before I started getting ready for the show tonight, we got a call early in the week where this company, they have software that they remote into with the special program, and I don't want to give away what it is and what I can't. And let's just say they need to access it, and we have port forwarding going to a peer workstation, and it's behind a firewall, which is just an ASUS router, which is then behind a Comcast router. Okay, sounds complicated, but it really isn't. And this has been working for years. And sometimes they'll reach out to us for a break fix problem. I have them on, that machine is backed up every night to Magnus Box Online. So I have a backup contract with them. And they called because they had a new router replaced. And Comcast came out, replaced the router, and everything stopped working. Okay, they didn't do the port forwards. So they get another tech comes out, and he can't fix it from Comcast. So they're going crazy. And so my son, the first chance he was able to do was to go out there. Now, we had no access to the Comcast router because the tech changed the password, and it's not the default, high speed cuss admin, for Comcast, and changed it and didn't give it to anyone. And it's now like almost near after hours. So, you don't want to call Comcast and wait for them to reset it, which of course they can, but takes time. So he takes the ASUS router and notices they changed all the IP info in there. Well, why would they do that? Now, we dug up our old notes. That's literally from a couple years ago. And all he did was redid all of the IP scheme, rebooted the couple computers, and then their public-facing IP address changed. So he had to call the company because they need to do something in DNS for them to go to a particular site name, which directs them to the port forward to the software that sits on the peer server. And it was more time waiting for that company so he could give them the public IP address, because when you want to get a public IP address, there's so many ways, but I love IP Chicken. You just go to ipchicken.com and you will get the IP address that is facing the internet, the public IP address. So that's always a quick thing that we know in my head. Like when I'm sitting there with a client, I always, for the first time, what's the public IP address? And then make a note of that. So he went to IP Chicken, got that IP address. He fixed all the inside where they were going all to the right IP, set the DHCP range in the ASUS that it's supposed to. The port forwarding, they even tried the port forward. And why would you? Now, this is what gets me. If the system has a static IP address that's 10.1.10.10, let's say, why would you port forward to 10.1.11.10? Why would you do that? Was it a typo? Why would they do that? So that's simple understanding of TCP/IP. If you're going to port forward within your private network, it's got to be an IP address that's reachable. And if you're doing DHCP with a whole different subnet, why would you port forward to the wrong one? So that was one that was, certainly, my son corrected that right away. But it's astounding. And we talked about this briefly in the pre-show of just how many people doing support for all the ISPs that don't understand basic networking and basic TCP/IP skills. And if you're entering into this field, learn that. I don't care what part of computing, learn subnets, learn TCP/IP, learn what a default gateway is. And then build upon that. And there are so many easy ways online to learn this. Take the time and learn it. And if you can't grasp it and you can't learn it and you can't do it and you can't, well, look for something else to do. Maybe IT isn't what your bag. So it just requires patience, time, and practice. And you can change things, on your own home network and play. Oh, wait, I can't ping that machine after I changed its IP address. Oh, he no longer can get to the internet. Oh, this is what we do for our DNS. This is what we put. Learn what IP config is. Learn the basic commands. Learn what traceroute is. Know how to do a ping with a /T, which will constantly ping to see that I can reach that device on the network. These are basic troubleshooting things that you need to learn. And it's missing. It's missing out there where they're doing hiring. Maybe they just need the bodies to get the work done, and they might do good work in mounting everything and making sure that the internet's reaching that router. But what about everything that's behind the router? Now, some of you will say, well, and I think Comcast and Verizon would be the first to say, well, that is the responsibility of the business. But the business they didn't understand. They didn't understand that they needed to reach out to us. I think today, after they got the invoice for the work today and had to cut a check, they understand that if they bring us in the beginning, we'll make sure. We might even be able to remote in and take care of this. And that's what it's a shame. Why? And I will never understand this ever, 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 ever. When you're replacing a router, why would you not log in and make a backup of the current configuration and then restore that configuration in the new router? I don't understand. They won't take the time to do that. And they'll just go in and swap. And you've heard me with many stories where that just doesn't work. You can't do that. And that's why it's also important for all your clients, you better have a config, even if it's pictures and it's just snippets of all of the settings. You need all of the settings of any firewall that you have, if you're using the default router for the ISP, that is required. So this way, when it gets replaced, you have the configs and you can go on site and hook up your laptop, connect in, and make all the changes, or maybe even upload it. That's why I like the Untangles and Arista. We back up everything, all the configs. I have a local backup and a backup in the cloud, and I've had to use it. So it's very, very important. So that's one. And the next, and I'll carry this, copiers, big multifunction machines. How can someone walk in and replace it? Now, luckily, they're getting better where I'll get contacted because the new printer company or the company that's going to replace it, we want your IT person to fill this out. And I'll get the form. And I'm like, okay. And I look at my notes and I can fill that all out and send it so they can properly program the replacement machine. So I've seen that getting better and better, but I wish the initial ISP router, I wish that would start happening, where we're not going to replace it until we contact your IT person and let them reach out to us, and we'll gladly send an email. So we need the ISPs to learn where the printer copier companies have evolved to finally. So that's got on my soapbox for all this for today, but it worked out great. My company, our client is crazy happy. Something else we mentioned that I haven't in the past, the prices of RAM, DDR5, computer prices are going up and up and up. And that's why I was surprised. I had a couple sales today with clients that needed a desktop. Another client needed a laptop. They have a new person starting. And, my Dell quotes are now only good for 3 days because the prices are that volatile. So just keep that in mind. And I know graphics cards, anything with RAM, anything, the prices are going up and up and up, and we need them to start leveling out and coming down. So hopefully that'll happen. But just wanted to mention that because I know we're all living in that right now. That's it for tonight's show. And remember, you can email me, miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit the main website for all of the show notes and the links that I mentioned in the show. And that's at miketechshow.com. And that'll flip you to mikenation.net, just in case that forward doesn't work. It's mikenation.net is the main hosting of the website. And if you're there, and hey, if you learned something, you used it, it helped you with a client, click on the donation link. Would really appreciate it. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube videos over at youtube.com. Michael Smith, MTS. That is it. See you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.